Most poker pros pride themselves in their ability to make big laydowns. I just made a big laydown in a tournament in Atlantic City, actually. It was raised before the flop, called, re-raised to me, and I had kings in the big blind. Now, I wasn't about to mess around with the hand, so I decided to just re-raise again. Well, the first two players folded, but the last player went all in. It was like, oh no, I thought. Does this guy really have a pair of aces? After giving it some serious thought, I finally decided to fold the second best possible hand before the flop. Now, that is a big laydown, right? Was I right? Well, unfortunately, the player showed me his hand, and I saw that he had pocket queens. So much for my big laydown. I outsmarted myself and missed out on an opportunity to double my money as a 4-to-1 favorite. Therein lies the problem with these big laydowns. When you're wrong, it is a statistical nightmare. Having said that, if you never fold the best hand, then you're probably calling too much. You want to try and avoid paying off bets where it doesn't look good for you, but sometimes your hand is just too strong to fold. For example, let's say you're playing limit hold'em and started with king 10 of hearts. The final board reads jack of hearts, 6 of hearts, 9 of hearts, and a deuce 7, giving you the second nut flush. Only the ace high flush could beat you. Well, obviously your hand is strong enough to bet on the river, but what will you do if someone raises you? Well, they might be bluffing, they might be raising you with a weaker flush, but more often than not, they will have precisely the one hand you can't beat, the nut flush. So what should you do in that situation? Well, the first thing you want to do is figure out what price the pot is laying you to call. Let's say, for example, that there is 120 in the pot and you have to call 20 bucks to see your opponent's hand. I mean, that means you're getting 6-to-1 odds that your opponent doesn't have the one hand that beats you. In this case, it seems obvious that you should throw in the 20 bucks since you'd only have to be right one out of every 6 or so times to make the call correct. This just isn't a situation where you'd want to make a big laydown, okay? Let's look then at an example where a big laydown might make some sense. This time, let's say you're playing no limit hold'em, where you can bet everything you have at any time. You started the hand with ace 9 of spades, and the final board reads queen 7-7, jack deuce with 3 spades out there. Well, this time, it's you that has the nut flush, but once again, you don't have the nut hand, as any full house can beat you. In this example, let's say you're up against a very conservative player, and you decide to bet the size of the pot, well, 30 bucks. That leaves you with 250 more left in front of you. What should you do if your opponent, the tight guy, decides to raise you all in? Now, this is no easy decision. What you'll need to do first is ask yourself the following question. What could he have? There are only 2 real possibilities here. You know he doesn't have the nut flush, since you do. So that must mean he either has a full house or he's running a bluff. The next thing you need to do, as in the other example, is to count the size of the pot and figure out what your pot odds are. Well, there was 90 bucks in the pot, plus an additional 250 that your opponent has raised you. So that means you have to call 250 to win 340. Your odds this time are only about 1.36 to 1. The next and final step is to figure out how often you need your opponent to be bluffing to make your call correct. In this case, you need your opponent to be bluffing about 42% of the time. Confused yet? Okay, well, the good news is that you don't have to be that precise with your math. All the math does is help you ask yourself that final question. Would this guy bluff in this situation 4 out of 10 times? Now that part, that's when you are on your own when deciding if you want to make a big laydown.